Welcome back to NPK Live. We have just had Hydroponic question time. Very, very good questions.
Yeah, we had the series of 20 questions from Facebook, Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, and a couple sent in through email as well.
At the end, we also announced a winner of the competition who gave us the best question. Myself and Stephen selected a winner, which received a Remo complete package and also some additional bits from NPK.
Yep, the questions were all top quality. I think every single one of them, I had to do a little bit of extra research to give you a proper in-depth answer, and it was a pleasure to do it. Thank you very much to everybody that sent in your questions. If you didn't manage to get your questions sent in for this time, get them sent in again, and we will do, in another few months' time, we will do another round of hydroponic question time. So, buckle up. We've got 20 questions to answer, and
enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride. So we're on episode 77, and it's hydroponic question time.
Yep.
You listeners have sent in your questions for the last month, and we have collated them, done the research on the ones that we were unsure about, and we have some answers for you from our perspective. So, do you want to get straight into it? Oh, hang on a minute. We can't just miss out what you were up to last week, can we? The biggest festival in the UK.
Yeah.
What was it like?
Glastonbury. It was amazing. It was unbelievable, as always.
Who did you see?
I seen Craig David.
It was your favourite, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was really made up to see Craig David. I've always been a fan of Craig David, so it was really good to see him come back and do some bits and bobs. His DJ set was phenomenal. I also watched Example do a surprise DJ set. He turned up. He didn't get paid to do the festival. He just turned up because he wanted to party.
Yeah.
And he found a DJ Wire, and he partied.
Yeah, rocked out.
Yes, so he partied. Also went and seen that miserable cow, Adele. Her music's good, but when she starts talking, she just depresses me. Coldplay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I reckon a lot of people have watched Coldplay, at least on the telly. I did. It was unbelievable. Laser show.
Their show is absolutely phenomenal. I'm not really a big fan of the music. I like some of the new stuff. Lately, I've got a bit more into them because of the new stuff they've done.
A bit more upbeat, isn't it?
Yeah, didn't like the depressing stuff. But I'm telling you now, even if you didn't like their music at all, you could stand there in the crowd and just be amazed by the show, because the lights, the fireworks, they released all big colourful balloons and everyone was hitting them across 150,000 people. Then they had confetti exploded out of the fireworks all over everybody. And they also give out these coloured wristbands.
Yeah.
They're very, very clever. Basically what they do, as the music kick in, they change them to the beats and the tempos and stuff like that. And
I've seen them doing little waves.
Yeah, they do different colours for different songs, and then they do multicoloured. If anyone hasn't seen it, go onto BBC iPlayer and check out Coldplay's show, because it's just amazing to look at.
Yeah, they did some boss things at the end as well. They did their tribute to Viola Beach, which is the Warrington-based band that passed away when,
sadly.
Yeah, I think how long ago was that? About 6 months ago.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody heard about it, but they sadly died. They were on tour, just started their tour, just signed their deal, and was going on their first tour. And they were in the car with the manager, and sadly the car, I think it was something to do with a level crossing or a bridge crossing or something, and the car failed to make the barrier and sadly fell a long way down.
Bridge,
and killed everybody in the car. And Coldplay basically made Viola Beach headline Glastonbury, and I was quite impressed by that. Yeah,
chills.
I've got shivers up my spine thinking about it now, and who knows, they might become number one because of what Coldplay done as well. And not only that, if you look at the very end, everybody's screaming for the last encore, and we discussed how much it costs per minute.
Yeah,
they overrun past the allocated time. I think it's about £75,000.
You said the BBC fines them loads of money for going over.
Loads and loads. And Mr. Michael Eavis, the organiser of the festival, he went over and he done a karaoke of, was it?
I Did It My Way.
I Did It My Way.
Frank Sinatra.
It is Frank Sinatra,
I think so.
Is, yeah. and it was really good. It was amazing.
And they had the Bee Gees on.
Yeah.
Or the ABG, Barry Gibb.
Barry Gibb.
Yeah.
But a bit of Staying Alive.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was...
How he hits them high notes at his age, I just don't know.
So it was an amazing festival. If you didn't get a chance to go, you can catch it all on BBC iPlayer. But yeah, and if you didn't go and you've never been, get there, because it's unbelievable.
Yeah, you come back always on cloud nine, don't you?
Yeah.
Move your chair forward a little bit because it's creaking. That's it. So let's get straight into the questions. And while we're answering these questions, you and me have got to decide which was the best question.
Yeah.
And the prize for the best question is a Remo t-shirt and a full set, 1 litre of Remo nutrients, the new nutrient line by Remo. We're not sponsored by Remo, by the way.
No.
Just I won a competition. I answered the question on his website and I won the competition. So
we decided we're going to redistribute it back out.
Yeah, so it's it's Remo's full nutrient line for all you guys that want to try out a new range.
Yeah.
That's the prize.
Because we're already trying it, so we only think it's fair that we get some more out and let's see what you usually think of it.
So let's kick off. There are 20 questions, and the first question is there a real need to dechlorinate tap water before watering your plant? Good question to kick us off with. Causes a lot of debate, and I think it's probably 50-50, the opinions. But to answer it, we need to talk about, are we indoors or are we outdoors? So, if we're outdoors, I looked at some research, and the research looked at the microbiology and tested the soil pre-watering with chlorinated water and post-watering with chlorinated water. And after 6 hours, there was no difference in the bacteria present. So that means that if the chlorinated water did kill the bacteria, then they'd repopulated within 6 hours. Also, when you're outdoors, chlorinated water binds to soil particle surfaces, so it doesn't have that much of a chance to rid the soil of beneficials. So as soon as you're watering, the chlorine sticks to the soil particles and doesn't have a chance to get too far down to the soil profile. And after the first 2 days of the last watering, the bacteria population was back to normal. So let's say there's 1 billion bacteria. If it reduced it by any amount, then after 2 days, they're all just back to normal.
So they're all back there anyway?
Yeah. I actually did a little bit of maths.
Not my strongest point.
Well, it's not mine either. I do my maths and I should pre-record it, shouldn't I? So I think indoors, if we had, let's go to the extreme and say that chlorinated tap water kills 99% of bacteria.
Yeah.
Okay. Like most of those Dettol sprays, 99.9% effective.
Yeah.
So we water our pots with this chlorinated water and kill 99% of bacteria. Now, just off the figure off the top of my head, there's probably, if you mess around in soil outdoors, there's probably over 1 billion bacteria under your fingernails when you've messed with it. So I've assumed that there's over 1 billion beneficial bacteria in your soil. 99%, so there's 1% bacteria left. 1% of 1 billion is 10 million. And in laboratory conditions, a bacteria cell can replicate itself, reproduce completely in half an hour. So we worked out that within 4 hours, the bacteria population was back to over 1 billion again. So in the worst case scenario, if chlorine water does kill 99% of bacteria, it doesn't really matter because after 4 hours, the population of bacteria will be back to normal again, even indoors. Indoors is a slightly different situation to outdoors though, because we either use a peat perlite mix, cocoa, or just plain old tap water, and these products don't tend to have beneficial bacteria just in them. So it's unlikely that they repopulate quickly enough before you water again. So for those that add beneficials, you can let the water stand for 24 hours because that lets the chlorine evaporate. And people say, oh, there's no real need to let your water stand for 24 hours, but it also has another benefit. In the winter, the water can come out your tap very cold. So instead of watering your plants with very cold water, potentially shocking the roots, you let it stand, lets the chlorine evaporate off, and you're not shocking your roots with super cold water. And that's it. What else have I written there? For those that don't use beneficials and have a clean system, chlorine in tap water rarely goes above 0.5 milligrams per litre, and the only effect that this has on plants is a slightly slower growth. So some of the research says that chlorine can slow growth, but it's only by tiny amounts. So the take-home message is, if you have the time, let your water stand. If anything, it allows the water to reach room temperature and won't shock your plant roots.
Okay, so the short form of that answer to that question.
Is there a real need
to declinate tap water before watering your plant?
No.
No.
If you do want to let it stand, though, it's only going to be beneficial. There's nothing can go wrong if you do let it stand. So it's your choice. But
so basically, your technical answer was that bacteria reproduces that quick, that within a few hours anyway.
Yeah, definitely outdoors.
Yeah,
indoors
can be a little bit more difficult. But if you add some bacteria,
so water with your newts, and then next day add your bacteria then, and then you're sorted.
And we're a big fan of bacteria.
Oh, massive fan. Number 2, do you want to read that one out?
Can synthetic fertilizer kill off your living soil?
I really enjoyed doing the research.
I'm going to let you answer this one as well, Steve, because I know this is in your categories.
So, from the research that I did, it doesn't appear so. So, let's go indoors and outdoors again and get it right into it. Synthetic fertilizer and organic fertilizer are essentially the same by the time at the end of the plant. And something that is one of my bugbears in this industry is that people call salt. You've got chemical salts and salts, and people assume it's like table salt. It's not. If a chemist says salt, what he means is a compound that is made up of 2 or more ions. And when a salt is dissolved in water, they split apart and go into their ionic form, which is what the plant absorbs. The plant likes it in ionic form. So the next time you're going to pass a plant, Thomas, I want you to ask it a question. I want you to say, do you get fed organically or do you get fed synthetically? And I reckon you're going to see a metaphorical shrug of its shoulders or something. It just doesn't know. If a plant could answer, it wouldn't know. It absorbs ions and that's it. So that's that covered. So the shorthand answer, as I know Thomas likes, is not really. No, if you use compost teas and organic brews, but you maybe see a bit of a deficiency and use a synthetic fertiliser, it's not going to have any effect on your living soil. Well,
does it not come back under the first part where the bacteria reproduce that much that they can't kill off the living soil?
Yeah, and if you've got organic soil indoors then, and using organic ingredients, then the bacteria is simulated like it is outdoors, so no problem. I actually rang Gareth Hopcroft, the owner of EcoThrive, the fellow who produces Charge. Rang him for a bit of confirmation. He said, if you've got a living soil... And
let's say Gareth knows his doodads about this stuff.
Of course, that's why I rang him just to confirm the research.
Just to check that we weren't saying a load of rubbish. That's what we done.
Yeah. In his experience, as long as you don't take your EC over 1.5 with synthetic fertilisers, he's never found a problem. What people get confused with...
But what we see with that, though, is ECs run up to 2.2 at peak.
As long as when people are using organic newts, as long as the synthetic part that they add doesn't go over 1.5.
Oh, okay.
So as long as it's not too strong. But if you're using too strong synthetics, it's probably going to have an effect on the plant at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think I went on the forums, and I think the confusion comes from people cure meat with salt, don't they? Because it prevents bacteria growth. But that's table salt, and what we're talking about is different. We use salt in different terms.
Yeah. Like it's just we're using this in the term of measurement, aren't we?
And chemicals, chemistry. So, shorthand answer is: can synthetic fertiliser kill off your living soil? Not to any degree. That's worth.
Not if you don't want it to.
Yeah, not if you don't want it to. Yeah, and so hope that has answered your question.
I'm definitely saying question 4. So
okay.
You can do question 3.
Is it safe to add synthetic to a live soil? Now, we're on question 3, and all questions have been organic and synthetic. There seems to be a bit of confusion. So what we will be doing is we're going to be doing an organic versus synthetic podcast. Might even use science versus skeptic, organic versus synthetic.
Okay, so that sounds like a good idea. That
we'll do that in the future.
Because them questions are all quite linked a bit, and they keep popping up. So I think it's only right that we investigate that a little bit deeper to a full podcast. Yeah.
Is it safe to add synthetic to live soil? Yes. And the only thing extra that I want to add to this is that there are trillions and trillions and trillions, and there's not even a number made up for the amount of bacteria on this planet. Some of them consume oil.
Hegillion.
Octillion.
Yeah.
When did you count them? You started a few months ago, didn't you?
Yeah. And I finished the other day.
Yeah. Was that just the ones under your fingernail?
Yeah. I got to a hegillion and
lost count.
Yeah.
Someone interrupted you. So yes, it is okay to add synthetic to live because there's billions and trillions of bacteria. They all do different jobs as well. So the chemical oil spill in the ocean, they actually use bacteria to break down the oil to a safe form. There's nitrogen fixing bacteria, there's phosphorus fixing bacteria. They all do different jobs. Some of them can be affected by synthetics. Some of them actually thrive on synthetic fertilizer, though. So it is a little bit of a tough question to answer, but our answer is yes, it's okay. Especially if you've got deficiencies, it's the quickest way to get. It's the quickest way to get your deficiencies out of it. Right. Question 4. You want to take the stand on this one?
Yeah, I like this question. It makes me laugh. Right. So these are questions sent into Twitter, was it?
Twitter, Facebook, a couple from Instagram, and a couple emails, and one from Eric at Garden Culture.
Oh,
the last one.
He always that as the last one.
Yeah.
Well, he's not winning anyway because he's got Garden Culture, so we can't let him win. So question 4. I hate slugs. What's the best way to keep these slippery little buggers from eating everything in my garden? I've used all my salt and used all my slug pellets, and they are still slipping and sliding towards my plants. Also, I have ants all over my raspberry plants and black currant plants. Please help. They're driving me crazy. And if that ain't bad enough, I've got no salt left for me chips tonight. That's a great question.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that you've got no salt for your chips.
Yeah, and to be honest, it sounds like you're having a bit of hoo-ha in the garden with these slugs and these ants.
Ants are a little bastard at this time of year, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Boss little creatures, but
they're amazing.
Not when you've got raspberries and blackcurrants to look after.
Not when they decide the army's going to attack your blackcurrants and raspberries and carry them all back home to the nest.
You just see the little ants with all raspberries on the back.
My 5 days. So, copper, beer, salt, covers over the plants. That's some of the answers that we've got.
Yeah.
So, there's a few tips. Obviously, this is a continuous battle. I'm presuming this is obviously all outdoors.
Yeah.
So, as you've heard on our podcast before, unfortunately, you're outdoors. Yeah, we like to grow indoors. We play a bit more Mother Nature. We control a lot more stuff, as we've said on our podcast. However, we still need to look after our
outdoor
gardeners. So, copper. How do we use copper? What, do we go and cut a piece of copper piping out off the boiler and wave it at these, whack them over the head?
Hit them with it? Copper pipe and just go around.
Yeah, big copper baseball bat.
That's Southpaw attraction, isn't it? Whack a slug.
So, copper.
So what people think it does is creates an electrical charge, and the slugs don't like it because it.
So what do we do? How do we use this copper?
You can get copper tape from any good gardening centre, and you will put the copper along your raised beds or...
so like the same idea as the salt. Like you make a little circle round it, and it's like that demon circle.
Yeah.
Everything's safe inside and the demons can't get in.
Yeah.
So you go and buy this copper tape. You probably get it from a garden centre. We don't sell it. No. I've never seen it before. No. Next one is beer.
Yeah.
Ooh, so we're pouring our beer on the floor. Into
a slug trap. We drop it into it.
Or have we put? Hold on. I know why the beer's on here. We're that pissed off. Everything's being ate by the slugs. We've just cracked open a case of Budweiser, and we're just going to sit here and get rotten because we can't solve it.
And we invite the slugs over because if you can't beat them, you join them.
Well, I wouldn't recommend putting beer over anything because it's not really a good idea, because I prefer to drink the beer.
Yeah.
You can build a trap. I'm going to have to YouTube this because this sounds hilarious. You get a cup, put some beer in it, and bury it, do we?
Yeah. Just put it on the same ground level.
Yeah. So here's a little slug.
Sees the lettuce, but he's like...
Yeah.
Lettuce on,
but does he like the beer?
He loves beer.
He loves beer.
He loves beer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he commits suicide to have some beer. Yeah.
So he falls into the cup.
Yeah.
And then he drowns.
He drinks beer first.
So he drowns.
He
drowns happy.
He drowns happy.
Yeah. Okay.
It's an organic way of.
Is there any particular brand of beer that he likes? Is it a he or a she?
Oh, they're both.
Slugs are hermaphrodite slugs.
They have penises and vaginas.
This is really getting interesting.
I know, we're really on fucking slugs.
Okay, and if they don't die, they'll just all be in this big party.
Yeah, take them to your
your enemies' allotments and set them free.
Next one, we've got salt,
Yeah.
which is the most popular one.
It's a desiccant. It draws all the water out of the slug's body and kills them.
Yeah.
Don't put your salt on your soil because your plants also don't like soil. Put it around on the wood parts or put it onto the pavement. Don't put it on the soil. that your plants are in.
Covers over the plants, so this may be a net or some sort of screen to keep them out.
Or a dome, yeah.
Yeah, like
a dome.
a safety barrier to protect it from those things. What about the ants?
Ooh, the ants. The ants are hard. You can get...
That's why I said it, because I haven't really got the answer.
I haven't got an organic answer. So, Rick has just said that you can brush the stems with gasoline. The price of gasoline, that's going to be an expensive way of keeping ants away.
Come on, we like the environment. And
That's what I was struggling with, an organic way to keep ants away. Because you can get ant powder, and you can get, like, we see businesses all in Liverpool at the moment, every person's got a bit of white powder for all the ants to stop them getting in. But an organic way to keep ants away.
You know what I was thinking? What we could try? What if we attracted them to an alternative food source?
Find out, Google what plant do ants love, and you can plant. It's called companion planting, that action. You can do it with a host of.
Yeah.
You can do it with anything. So you can do it would be another way to keep slugs away. If you're growing tomatoes, you'd grow a single lettuce and let the slugs devour that, and then just pick them off as well. That's another way. Pick slugs off. Just pick them off and fling them away.
Fling them?
Yeah, just fling them.
Okay.
It's a hobby in Scotland, I think. Slug flinging. Or is that with a big fucking wooden stick? It's just for the smaller people. Yeah. So yeah, someone actually posted that they use lime. Like, I don't know if they meant
Dolomite lime.
Yeah, I don't know if they meant dolomite lime or if they meant an actual lime and they squeeze the juice out because it's acidic and they don't like it.
Well, if anyone's got any more answers on the ant, because I'm interested in that one.
But an organic way to do it, I'm not too sure. Yeah. If you do a real problem, you can just go to the shops and buy.
There's plenty of pesticides and stuff to treat them. Next question.
Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, come on. It's question 5. I recently seen somewhere that a man had grown an apple tree that had around 20 different varieties of apples growing on it. How is this achieved? Now, this is very interesting.
Very interesting. A very advanced method of growing as well.
Yeah.
So advanced, we didn't include it in advanced growing methods a couple of weeks ago because it's to do with grafting and splicing and all.
Do we know the
stuff.
person's name who done this?
His name is Mr. Barnett. Didn't give his first name.
Yeah.
He wished to remain anonymous.
Okay.
No, his name was Mr. Barnett. And how he does it is he adds varieties to the tree every year by either budding or grafting new varieties onto this single tree. So it was a standard apple tree with a root stock, and what he does is he grafts different varieties onto it. Now, budding involves cutting from another apple tree and embedding the bud into the bark of Barnett's family tree. That's what he calls it, because it's got like a family of apples. And he grafts new branches onto his tree by inserting sections from other trees. And to get new varieties, Barnett either buys them from the home of the National Fruit Collection, which is one of the largest collections of fruit trees and plants in the world. It's in Kent. It's amazing. Or trades them with other apple growers. And I included something here as well because it's good. I like the definition of this. It's horticulture, what he's doing. It's his hobby. And it says, horticulture is the science and art of growing flowers, fruits, vegetables and ornamental plants for human use. It comes from the Latin word hortus, meaning garden, and cultura, meaning cultivation. And according to the University of Illinois, there are roughly 7,500 varieties of apple grown throughout the world. They originated in an area between the Caspian and the Black Seas and were favoured by ancient Greeks and Romans. A little bit of trivia there for you.
Very interesting, that.
Well, back to Barnett. He actually has... The question said that 20 different varieties, but it's actually 250 different varieties. He's got cider apples, cooker apples, eaten apples. He's got everything, but they don't all... He doesn't get 250 varieties in 1 year.
Yeah.
He'll get like 4 or 5 varieties in 1 year, and then he'll choose what type of apple he'll want the next year and provide the environment and the nutrition for the apples to be different on another year. But there's a picture. I'm gonna try and get it up on Facebook, and the tree looks amazing.
I want to see that picture. I haven't seen that picture.
It's amazing. I think there's lots of people that have done it. It's just he got the media coverage for his tree. I think he's been doing it for about 25, 30 years.
Wow.
So that was that. How does he do it? Budding and grafting.
Yeah.
25 years of hard work, and obviously that's his passion. So take my hat off to you. That is
definitely
awesome. 6. This is question 6. What is the best way to clean equipment and extend its life? When would you recommend a bulb change? And also, is there a way to clean and oil the bearing in an inline fan? So we'll start with the first one. What is the best way to clean equipment and extend its life? So it depends on
well, yeah,
what the
here's the top
equipment is.
tip first of all. Yeah, as you were going to say, it depends what the equipment is. But it also is easiest to not be lazy. That's a top tip. So if it's a piece of equipment, i.e. a measuring tool or something of that kind of sort that you're going to use and then put it away straight after, clean it straight away. Don't leave it for months and then try and get all this horrible residue off it, because it makes the job harder.
You've seen the trays, haven't you? The trays and your bottom feed.
Yeah.
The light evaporates the water off and leaves that really salty deposit. I challenge anybody to get that salty deposit off them trays, because it is a nightmare.
Yeah, it is absolute nightmare.
Tents, let's talk about a tent, clean a tent. Just when all the plants are done and out there, very mild disinfectant, warm water, and just go round and give it a good clean.
Yeah, nice brush. Constantly maintain it though throughout its life. Don't leave it to look like an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, take pride in it.
Yeah, start as you mean to go on.
Have shelves, put your stuff away, be nice and neat and tidy. Things don't go missing.
Yeah.
You realise when you keep order, you tend to see which bottles are low, and then you can go and buy the new products from the shops rather than going ready to do your new nutrient change. You go, oh crap, I've run out of A and B.
Yeah.
And then the plan suffers.
Well, you just said then, nice shelf system. You know, instead of having everything all just lying around in higgledy-piggledy, I buy a simple little shelf, maybe £20, something like that, from a home store, and have each layer, different section, your feeds and your measuring tools and your little jugs and everything, and you keep everything nice and tidy, organised, and it will be very easy then. If you leave everything to the end, it will become an inundating chore.
That's it is a chore, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bulbs, wear gloves.
Yeah.
Because the oil from your fingers can get onto the bulb, and when it heats up, it will crack. So wear gloves and a dry, lint-free cloth. Give it a good rub over. Bulb life.
I recommend
It always makes me.
I always say about 3 cycles.
Yeah, and every time now someone brings up bulb life, I always feel a little bit sad, because that invention that has not quite made it to market yet.
Yeah.
You know which invention I'm about, don't
Yeah.
you? The one by
Cannatronics,
that's the one. Brain fart. Just went out my mind for a second there. The one made by Cannatronics, and what he did is he had a digital ammeter built into his contactor, and as the ammeter rises, it shows that the bulb is nearing the end of its life, and you don't have to guess anymore, because you pay more for your bulbs, they'll last longer, you get cheap bulbs.
We're still waiting for the product though.
It always makes me a bit sad, because that was a phenomenal
because
product.
we like the concept of that completely, and there's always this question. So I'm going to say 3 cycles.
Yeah, 3 goes, yeah. And is there a way to clean and oil the bearing in an inline fan?
Do you want to get into that? Oh, well, to be honest, most of these inline fans are sealed units, which do not recommend taking apart. If you need to clean the oil, is the fan broken?
Yeah.
Is it giving problems?
Yeah.
If it is it still under warranty? How long have you had it? If you bought it from our store, you'll be covered anyway, because we look after our customers, you know.
And if you've spent money on a good fan, I think a lot of them these days run on magnetic ball bearings. They don't actually require oil, do they? So the magnetic ball bearings basically run forever.
So just have a look at your equipment, your level of equipment that you've got. Is it a high-end product? If it is, what warranty life has it got on it? How long have you had it? That's the answer you should be looking for, rather than, oh, let's get the toolkit out and try and fix this piece of equipment.
I've just thought of another one. Filter, the pre-filters on a filter. What's the best way to clean them?
You can wash them, but that's normally... See, the pre-filter, you're talking about the white sleeve.
Yeah.
See, that to me is an indicator.
Yeah.
I use that. When I see that to get clearly dirty, I think, how much life's left in this filter? How long have we had this filter now for it to be that dirty? However, different areas can allow the pre-filter to get more dirty than in other areas. So
it's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be a tough one. If you are going to wash it, if you do think, I want to take this off and give it a nice little wash, put it in the washing machine, put it in a pillowcase on a 30-degree wash. Don't put any heavy disinfectants in and stuff like that. Just maybe just a warm water, give it a little wash, make sure it's fully dried out, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, and put it back onto your filter.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you can do with cleaning that has an impact? Your shade, that is one. So we've covered bulb and how to clean it. Also, don't forget your shade is really important for the distribution of light. After 4, 5, 6 months, it's going to get dust on it. It's going to get a little bit grubby. Get warm, soapy water and give it a good clean before you start up your next one. It'll just extend the life of your shade and help with the distribution of light.
Hydroponic systems, maybe AutoPot, IWS, multi-flow, any DWC systems, any systems that contain nutrient water in a long time, over a long period, running through little pipe systems, can get blockages. You want to clean the system out at the end.
Yeah.
You can use a product called
Keep It Clean
by
Dutch Bro.
Excellent. And basically what we do with the product is
add it to the tank as you would your feeds.
Yeah, but with no feed, just an empty tank, just full of water. Not an empty tank, sorry, that sounds bad. An empty tank full of water. Once the cycle's been completed, you have took all your plants away, you fill the tank up with just plain water, you put this solution in by Dutch Pro, Keep It Clean, and then you run a cycle. And what it does is it cleans out the system for you.
Salty deposits.
Yeah.
To Keep It Clean, though, is quite good in the fact that you can actually use it in the middle as well. So if you're finding that you're running a heavy nutrient regime with thin pipes, let's say AutoPots, for example, you can actually Keep It Clean in between a cycle and it won't harm your plants. So that's one of the benefits of using Keep It Clean by Dutch Pro. One of the other ones as well is when the plants you have taken the plants out, if you've had any mould, pathogens, any sort of disease in your room or pests, run a hydrogen peroxide solution through it because that will clean all of the inside of the pipes and that. Follow the directions on the back of the bottle. It's usually called liquid oxygen.
Hydrogen peroxide. Is that good for our environment?
Disposing of it would be difficult.
Yeah, it's a product that I don't really like.
It's a bleach type product, isn't it? They use it along with other things to make your hair white.
And it just destroys every wooden shelf in our shelf, doesn't it? These bottles are fully sealed bottles, and that's why whenever we give one of these bottles out to a customer, this is why I don't really like the product, because it just eats through everything. The bottle's sealed. It's got one of them tight snap caps on, like a pharmacist. Yeah. So it's a proper secure bottle. They're on the shelf. None of them are empty. None of them are leaking. Not one. And every time I go back to the shelf, it's eating away. You've seen it yourself, Steve.
There's a hole.
Eats away the wood underneath it until it's nothing left. It's just crazy, and that's what always worries me about that product.
Well, actually, the one that's liquid oxygen, which is by Growth Technology, that used to be 17.5% hydrogen peroxide. They've recently reduce that down now to 11%. I think it is.
Because it's very dangerous, isn't it? It is something you need to, when you're using it, wear gloves. Don't have your best going out clothes on, because I guarantee, no matter how careful you are with it, you will spill it. And I'm looking at Stephen right now. He's got a pair of shorts on, and they have got hydrogen peroxide burn holes all the way through them, everywhere.
Yeah, it's actually made rips in the pants.
Yeah, it just destroys any materials instantly.
And wear glasses as well, safety goggles.
Definitely.
Good point idea to get
good
that
point
in your
that,
eye.
Stephen.
Okay, so where was that? So that was cleaning.
Yeah.
Hopefully we've answered that question. And on to number 7. What's the best way to dispose of synthetic fertilizer? We had a little chat about this yesterday,
we did,
didn't we?
Because, you know what, I love the environment, don't I, Stephen? And you know what a lot of people do? I've done it myself, to be honest. You know, you end up putting it down the toilet. And we had a debate about this, didn't we? Is it harmful? We started getting into, is it harmful putting this stuff down the toilet? And we were in the office, and there was about 7 of us in the office yesterday, weren't we? And we all split in half. And half of us were saying, well, no, because that goes to a water treatment facility and gets treated and blah, blah, blah. And that's where waste goes to. But then I'm also thinking, yeah, but it's not that type of waste that is designed. But then the other argument's then saying, yeah, but you'd have hair products, bleaches, and all sorts of stuff going down that. So then I'm thinking, well, they are half right there.
It's got all kinds of nastiness going down that toilet, hasn't it?
Acetone, nail varnish remover, hair remover,
hair dyes, all kinds of crap. And there must be a system of filtering it out, because that is cleaned. Bacteria, again, used to clean.
What I like, though, I do this quite a lot, though, is additional brain fart. Additional synthetic fertilizer that I've got left over. I'll try and use it in other areas. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And try and reuse it. Boom.
And take it to the allotment.
Yeah, and use it
back
there.
Garden.
Yeah, because we use a lot of stuff on our allotment that will just go to waste in other areas, and that's what's so good about it. We always try and recycle everything, don't we? As best as we can. So my answer for that is try and recycle it and use it in an alternative area if you can. If not, give it the flush.
Yeah, give it the flush. And we do think it'll be okay going down the toilet. But I'm sure there's somebody out there that knows something about.
Well, you can drop it. You can take it to a
hazardous waste recycling place, which
I don't know where any of them are.
I don't, to be honest.
And I think a lot of people just wouldn't be bothered.
No,
do you know what I mean?
Filling up containers.
And we're trying to be honest here at the end of the day, and I'd probably say put it down the toilet rather than just go and throw it in the street or throw it here and throw it there, because that's not designed to go into there. At least we know that is a waste treatment facility that's hopefully going to end into, where if you throw it just anywhere, it could have other effects on other things. And
what do they call it? The land water. It could affect pond species, lakes, rivers. Yeah. So if it's going to go anywhere, put it down the toilet.
Yeah, definitely don't ever put it in a pond or a lake ever, or any open waters at all, even the sea, or don't ever do anything like that.
Yeah, down the toilet's the easiest way if you're really determined to get rid of it. But giving it to your plants is our preferred method.
Yeah. Right,
here's one for you: seed or clone? Very simple question.
Yeah, that's it. That's the question: seed or clone? For me, seed. For a lot of people, clone. It's got an equal argument, I believe. However, I enjoy both. Clones give you traits of another species to exact, i.e. it's a complete genetic twin. Would I be correct in saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what's going on and how it's going to be. Seed, I love because we have asymmetrical. And I enjoy asymmetrical. It excites me. And also, seed, I also love the story of how a seed is and how a plant forms a seed. And, a seed is a collated piece of energy that's this plant worked hard for to create its next life. So what it does is it decides to put all of this energy into this tiny little form. And then this little form gets germinated and boom. And it's very, very strong. It's at its peak because it's a newborn. Yeah. Where clones can be descendants. Long descendants. And descendants become old and frail.
Well, it's actually, to touch on this point a little bit, I'll give my opinion on seed or clone. But talking about clones, people say that it becomes degraded over time. And that could be true in some cases. But the reason it becomes degraded is you have your mother plant or you have your plant that's in veg and you take a cutting from it. If that mother plant is really healthy, then the clone will be really healthy. And you will veg that clone and take cuttings from there. If that clone's really healthy, you'll continue to have healthy clones. The problem comes when you invite stress into your room. So if it was spider mite stress, heat stress, cold stress, water stress, whatever it is, each time the plant gets a little bit more stressed and you're taking a cutting from a stressed plant and you veg that plant, it's not quite as strong as it was previously. So that's where I think
yeah, that's true. But also, yeah, that is true. But then also, each of these clones can be taken from and that clone as that's grown up, and then that clone, and then that clone, and then that clone, and that's how you get down generation, and then you're down 100 generations, so it becomes watered down. The seed, I believe, has the new growth and is the new life. However, you don't know what the seed is. It's a surprise. You'll know where it's come from, but you don't exactly know if it's going to be as strong.
So you've got to do a few.
Yeah, you would have a selection. And you would see how quick it germinated, how quick it grew, what its leaf structure was like, its density, its colour, how it was feeding, how it was responding to your environment that you was giving it. And you would see there would be a difference amongst them. And then you would select the daddy-o.
Yeah. Or the mother-o.
Yeah, even better. And you would pick her, and she would then be your child bearer. And then you would take some clones. As I was talking about before, the difference between seed or clone, if you don't know, I mentioned the word called asymmetrical. Now what that means is, if you have a plant that is grown from seed, and you have a plant that is grown from clone, there is a clear difference. And what this is, and please check this because it's very interesting, you will see the branches on a clone, they are staggered. Yes, so there'll be one, then a little bit further up another, and then another, and then another, and that's how they will form all the way up the tree, up the plant. However, on a seedling, that's different. They all form next to each other, asymmetrical, all the way up the plant. So it's a clear difference, how you can tell the difference from seed and clone.
So if you want to be a little sneaky detective, you can go into a room and go, this is a clone, or this is a
quite
seed.
easily, and it's an easy thing to notice as well. So I don't think there's an actual answer to that question. I think it's what you prefer and what you want to do.
Both have their merits.
Yeah.
Me personally, as someone who's interested in science and doing testing, clones for me, because you know what you're getting, and you can't do a scientific test on 1,000 seeds because each will have slightly different characteristics. However, if you're doing testing to test one of your variables, such as nutrients or temperature or humidity, clones are the way to go. But if you want to look at new strains and looking at genetics, looking at modifying how a plant grows, then I think seed would probably be the best bet, because you've got a new life force, and I imagine it's easier to manipulate.
Well, for me, I'm going to pick seed because I enjoy
creating life. Yeah,
creating life and finding new varieties and strains and stuff like that. So I really enjoy seeds. So it just depends whatever you're into.
Okay. Number 9. Where is the best place to check your pH? In the runoff or from just wherever? Depends on your method of growing. If it's soil, you need a soil pH meter.
Yeah.
And you will want to check what the pH is within the soil. A little bit of a long-winded method to get the pH if you don't have a soil pH meter is to run water, plain tap water, check the pH of the tap of the water before you run it through. Pour it through so that you get runoff. Collect the runoff and then check the pH with your meter from there. If it's coming out high or low, you make adjustments and change it from there. Same for cocoa. Cocoa is something that I might have to look into, but you might get away with a soil meter, but you might not get very accurate results. So for cocoa, it's a flush through. A flush through is always good in cocoa anyway.
Yeah,
getting rid of
definitely. I always recommend it.
Collect the runoff and check your pH. If you're doing something like DWC or flood and drain, you check the tank on a flood and drain before it's getting put through to the plants, and then just keep on checking the tank, because it will flood up into the media and then come back in, so the pH is going to be changing in that reservoir. DWC, just get your probe and put it into the reservoir where the roots are the main tank. From there. Where is the best place to check your pH? To answer the question, for soil and for cocoa, the runoff, even though it's a little bit long-winded, it's probably best to do a flush, because it's going to be beneficial to do it anyway, and you can check your pH. DWC and flood and drain, just check it from your reservoir, and do check your pH. It's an important method. So if you're not doing that currently, maybe look into it next time.
And listen to one of the podcasts on how to check your pH.
Okay, this one's your zone, number 10.
Okay, number 10. What is the best way to take clones with the highest success? Right, okay. So firstly, a lot of people may or may not have a mother plant, or they may just take clones off a donor plant, what I call a plant, what they're just growing in veg, and then they're going to turn into flower, but take some clones before they flip it over. So obviously them clones are going to be of a different quality, because a mother plant produces fine quality clones because you've trained the plant to produce those clones. A plant that's just growing, ready to turn its life into the flower stage, and you take some clones from that, they're different. However, still successful and very, very good as well. However, top tip for taking any clones, you would take it around the base layer of the plant, maybe a quarter of the way up, not right at the very bottom. Maybe if your plant's 3 foot high, you would take it probably just under a foot from the base and around that lower band. Don't take them from the top of the plant, because all of the hormones that will help the plant reproduce roots are in the base of the plant. All of the flowering hormones are at the top of the plant. That's the reason for this.
Can I give another reason for not really taking them from the top? Although you can, if needs must. The foliage at the top of the plant, it's living an easy life because it's got access to the light, it's got access to everything that it wants. So if you take a cutting from there, it's going to root really quickly. But mark my words, it's going to be used to its privileged life. And if any adverse conditions come about, it's going to struggle. Whereas the foliage towards the bottom, where you're recommended to take them from, they've had to work hard to get to the light and get everything that they need. So they do tend to root slower than the ones at the top, but the stronger in adverse conditions. So you'll end up with a stronger plant if you take them from that bottom part.
Also, if you take ones from the top of the plant and you're using the plant to reproduce flowers, you just removed your flower heads.
Yeah.
So it depends what your plant is going to do. If you have a mother plant, you can take your clones from wherever you want, because the plant isn't about to go into a flowering life. If you have a grow plant that's about to go into a flowering life, do not remove any, obviously,
your top heads.
Yeah, your stems that you need to produce. You're going to remove the waste that isn't of any value to you in the second stage. A rooting hormone. Also, make sure you use a rooting hormone. You don't have to; it still will work. But if you want the highest success, which is in this question, you will use a sharp implement to sever the plant at a 45-degree angle. You will then place this into a rooting hormone, which I'll recommend Clonex. Or Remo Root. Yeah.
Just finished the test on Remo Roots.
We done a side-by, didn't we? We done a side-by test. We've got the pictures, and both produce roots, but they produce different types of roots at a different level on the Jiffy. Check out the pictures
on our Instagram.
We're
not going to give you the answers, actually, because we want you to go onto our Instagram. We're going to create interest.
Yeah, and the picture's really, really good. It's just a simple side-by test with the answer. So have a look, there's the answer.
Anything else to successor clones?
No.
Yeah, just
environment, sorry.
Do exactly what Thomas has said, and the last part is environment.
Clones, you're going to have to put them in a propagation. So when you have a propagator, there's different forms of propagation. I'd use a standard plastic propagator. I don't use heated ones. I find they cause more problems, make them rot. Another key thing is too much water people use. I use Jiffies. I love Jiffies. I can use rock wool as well, but I find Jiffies are a lot better and more enjoyable to do. I pack the whole tray out so they're all nicely shoulder by shoulder. You don't want them spaced out because you're going to build humidity. Humidity and bacteria build root systems. Yeah. You want them moist. You don't want them sodden. You do not want them sitting in water. If you sit them in water, you'll be sitting there for about 6 weeks waiting for them to root, and they won't. They'll go yellow and they will rot. What you need is them to be moist. You need the temperature under your blue CFL to be around, or your T5 to be around 21 to 22 degrees. And what you will find within the propagator, it'll be about 28 degrees. And you will find moisture all around every wall of the propagator. If you find severe drips coming from the roof of the propagator, check your temperature. because that's going to show signs of extreme propagation, probably a level of 99%, and that's going to be a bit too severe. You want it over about 80-85% within there. For the first 3 days that you take your clones, you're going to put them in straight into propagation, and you are not going to remove the lid. When you look at them after day 1, you'll see them all droop. They look horrible. I don't even look at them for 3 days. They're depressing. I go back after 3 days and boom, they're standard. Then what you need to do is acclimatise. You need to acclimatise these guys. You need to get them to feel proper CO2 within your little environment. You need to get this humidity out, and you need to get them to change what they're doing. You need to get them out to I call it deep propagation.
Yeah.
A lot of people take them out too soon. So what we're going to do is, after 3 days, you see little sliding lids on the roof of the propagator. You will open them and close them after 1 day, and then open them for another day and close them. Also, whilst doing this, every day you will be lifting the lid off the propagator and removing the moisture with a cloth, and you will be looking at the jiffies and you will be feeling them, because they're starting to dry out and you're removing moisture. So if you're removing the moisture, you're taking away the moisture from the jiffy. So you need to be careful that they don't dry out, because if they dry out too much, they're dead. So what you've got to do is you've got to play this little game, and the little game is called not letting the buggers dry out too much and not letting them be too wet. That's the name of the game.
A game of moisture instead of a Game of Thrones.
Yeah. When you learn how to do that, you will find how quickly clones root, and they become really healthy really quick. And basically what you can do is just get a little spray bottle you find under the kitchen sink, empty the fairy liquid out of it or whatever it is, give it a good clean, put some plain water in, and just give them a little mist every day. Then removing the lid, clean the lid, back on, little mist, and opening the lids. And what you will find, between 5 to 8 days, there will be a mass of white healthy roots with loads of tiny little feeder roots hanging off them. They will be everywhere, and they will mat into each other as well. I promise you that, if you do it that way.
One quick question for you before we finish that question. Why do some people cut the leaves? What is the purpose of cutting the leaves in half?
That's a top thing that I do also, and what that does is it stimulates the plant to produce roots rapidly, because if it's being attacked, somebody's come along and has chopped its solar panels for energy. So shit, we need to put roots in. We need another backup plan here now. We need a root system. We need to develop more leaf ASAP, and that's what's going on. It's inciting the plant to hurry up now, because bad things are happening to it.
It's getting eaten.
Yes.
That's what
it thinks it's being attacked.
Okay. So I think that's a very thoroughly answered question.
I hope that explains some things. If you need any more tips or any more advice, please contact me, because I love seeds and clones, and it's something that I really enjoy.
Okay. Actually, I've just noticed there, question 12 is, what is the best way to get lots of roots on your clones? But I think we've just answered that quite deeply, haven't we? So
yeah,
for whoever sent in question 12, hopefully that will have answered your question as well. We're going to go to question 11, and it says, what is the best way to get rid of mites organically? Bloody spider mites, and getting rid of them organically.
Is it just spider mites, or
just any mites?
Any mites.
Same class, same family, aren't they? Mites, you get miticide, so anything that would work against mites will work.
The best way to get rid of mites organically is remove their happy laddie environment that they love.
So before you spend any money, let's go and have a look at the environment.
Yeah, because your environment is going to be arid, because that's what they love. Dry. They like dryness. So you're going to look at your temperature. You're going to look at how much air you're removing within this room. You're going to look at what stage these plants are in and how badly they're affected. A word springs to mind. They use it at the airports when they quarantine.
Quarantine.
Right. So you may have one plant that's affected. You might have a room of 50 plants. I would make a very sharp decision on what I was going to do with that plant. Yeah, you could put it in the corner, and put something around it, I'd put it in the bin straight away.
Nobody puts plants in the corner.
Yeah, but obviously we don't like to destroy plants, so you could focus on treating it, but then you're making a decision. You could only have 2 plants, so then you've got well, I would have no other option but to treat the plant. Also treating the other plant that it isn't infected yet, so obviously you could be using a plant shield, like maybe CANNA or something, which is organic.
Is CANNA organic? I would say, I'd go out on a limb and say no.
Oh, I don't know.
I'd say no.
We'll have to come back to the board with that one.
Yeah.
We're going to send Rick, the editor, to go and find out right now, because I've never ever thought about that.
I haven't thought about that. I've just thought it works.
What's another product that shields that is organic? Is the one? Let's think now.
Silicon.
Okay.
You can use an organic silicon.
Yeah.
Organic silicon would be nettles. So you'd make a nettle brew. I'm going to not talk too much about it because it actually answers one of the questions a bit later on.
Okay.
But you make a nettle brew and it gives you organic nitrogen and silicon. And silicon, as you know, is my favourite element and provides a protective layer so the spider mites can't bite through it. So that will also protect them.
Well, also you could use a bacteria as well, can't you?
Like a nematode.
Also a product by Hydroponics.
Bactivator. Yeah. So what Bactivator does is changes the colour or the appearance of chlorophyll, which is what the spider mites like to eat. So if they don't recognise chlorophyll as a food source, they're not going to eat your plant. So you may still get, what I've found is you do still get spider mites on your plant, but they don't stay around for long because there's no food for them, so they just bugger off.
Yeah.
That's what I've actually seen firsthand as well. So CANNA Cure's just been brought up to me. Vitalises plant health and controls plant pests by physical means, the natural way to control pests. Biodegradable plant health and growth nourishment. Non-toxic. Controls pests like spider mite mealybug by physical means and controls mildew by physical means. Don't think this could be classed as organic.
No, I don't think it is.
Strictly organic.
Because obviously there's categories and I don't think it is.
It's got nitrogen in there, it's got an iron chelate in there.
No.
Do not use together with products containing hydrogen peroxide and blah blah blah. So, dilution rate 330 ml to 1 litre of water. Spray your plants with it and it will help prevent spider mites and other diseases.
So prevention, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
You can use preventatives to stop. So put these things in place before you actually get the problems. You know, people, they don't do all this stuff and then at the end you're running to the toolbox now for the chainsaw because you just overlook simple things.
Yeah.
And it's something that we constantly go on about. You know, farmers, do they think, I'm not going to bother about looking after the caterpillars this year? They won't come on my field. They'll go on Billy's field over the road. No, don't be daft. Every year they do the same things that implement everything to protect against that, and they still get it. So they still have those things in the toolbox as well for when the first thing doesn't run out.
Yeah.
It's a process. It's something that you need to get used to and nurture.
These pests are very good at getting their food.
Yeah.
They love their food.
Yeah.
Your sweet pea has been savaged by leaf miner, didn't it? Until we managed to spot it and cut the leaves off and treat it with a leaf miner product. But to get rid of the mites organically, you would use a homemade herbal tea. Put this one in there because it's cheap, it's easy to use and it does work, but it takes constant application. That's the half of a problem with organic measures to get rid of stuff. It takes a long while to kick in. So homemade herbal tea. Make it by mixing a tablespoon of ground cinnamon, a tablespoon of ground cloves and 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning in a quart of water. In a quart of water, now for British people that's like quarters a litre for us guys in the UK. Then bring the water to a boil and take off the heat. Once it has cooled slightly, add 2 tablespoons of crushed fresh garlic. Leave to sit until the water cools completely and then strain through a cloth or coffee filter. Add a squirt of dish soap to the tea, then pour it into a spray bottle. Spray the underside of the infested leaves with the tea every 3 days over a 2-week period, and this should effectively kill the mites. Spray when the lights are off. That's very, very important as well. And this is
we see it all the time, garlic and Italian herb seasoning and cinnamon and all kinds. These are just things that the spider mite must detest. It doesn't like flavouring and it doesn't like seasoning, it just likes plain old plant. So if you're having a problem and you want to kill them organically, that's the way to do it.
Nematodes, as we said before, you mentioned, touched on it before.
Nematodes.
These are predator. So these are mites that eat mites.
And other microscopic creatures.
Yeah, but don't harm your plant.
Don't harm your plants, yeah.
We've mentioned them before on pest and disease.
Yeah.
You can get them from us.
Yeah.
So if you have a spider mite problem, you've tried everything under the sun and you need some predators, give us a call.
Yeah. The other way is if you haven't got that many plants, just get a damp cloth and rub them off. You're never going to get rid of all of them, but if you're at the end and you don't really want to be spraying your plants with anything, just rub them off with a damp cloth and get rid of any webs. Damp cloth and get rid of them webs, but webs equals severe infestation. And last point is what we do at NPK is we have a solution, and it's an oligosaccharide, so it's many sugars. It's organic, it's 0 harvest interval, meaning you can spray it today and harvest tomorrow. And it suffocates the spider mite, so it has to hit them to kill them. That's why they take a little bit longer. So hopefully that's answered your question for number 11. Moving on to question 13. What is better, growing with synthetic fertilizer or organic, both for your health and the environment? Right, to answer this one, need to go a little bit in depth, but we'll try and cover it very quickly for you. We have to first think of what is organic. Now, organic in the UK means growing without synthetic fertiliser or pesticides and allowing a good crop rotation with fallow years. And fallow years just basically allowing the field to replenish themselves naturally. So to grow organically, you must use no pesticides or synthetic fertilisers. But like we've already mentioned a little bit earlier on, the plant doesn't know the difference between an ion of organically derived elements or synthetically derived ions. So the health benefits of organic or synthetics doesn't really make a difference with regard to what you feed them. And some people may be in shock there, but we did a lot of research when I was at university. Plants don't know the difference, so the health benefits of what you absorb, there isn't going to be any extra benefits.
No, it's more the impact is on the environment.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is.
The synthetics are where they're formed and what they do and what they have on the land and stuff like that.
Yeah, not including pesticides is probably where the health benefits come from. So if you're eating your organic apples, they haven't had a pesticide sprayed onto them, so you're not going to be consuming pesticides. That is only a good thing. No good can come from consuming pesticides. For the environment, not using synthetically derived nutrients can only be a good thing, because organic fertiliser and organic material replenishes soil. It's good for bacterial growth. It just makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You imagine the dirt under your fingers, and organic methods of growing is good for the environment.
Well, it respects the environment and it looks after the land.
Yeah, and not using pesticides is great for the environment, because bees...
We always mention this.
Yeah, bees are being killed by synthetic pesticides. If we don't use them, the bees are living a happier life. But we did say we're going to touch on science versus skeptic, organic versus synthetic, so I'm going to leave that there.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, hopefully you've covered that. For your health,
yeah,
organic because of the lack of pesticides. For the environment, organic all the way.
Yeah.
All right. Number 14. What are the best nutrients to use for strawberries and other fruits to get the best taste? Now, I'm going to do a recommendation here, because we could podcast this in a whole new subject as well. But there's a great book written by James Wong, and it's called How to Grow for Flavour. It's a brilliant book.
Top book for the answer for that, because I think he'll be able to answer it a lot better than us. Yeah,
and the book is filled with all kinds of plants, how to get the best flavours out of them, and it's based on science. It's a really easy to read book. There's no really technical jargon words in there, and it's cheap as well. I think you could probably get it now for under £15, and it really is worth the investment.
Did you pick an answer out for us, Dom?
I did,
yeah,
because this one really interests me. It's to do with light.
And we didn't actually have an answer for it, did we? So we done some research to find out an answer for you guys.
And it is red plastic mulch. And I saw the red plastic, I thought, yeah, you lay red plastic down, but the mulch confused me a little bit, so I did an image search, and all it basically means is getting some red you know, like that see-through stuff. You know, like when you put them 3D goggles on from back in the day, and you could see 3D pictures, and one blue and one red. Well, it's that type of material on the red side. You lay that down with little holes where you've planted your strawberries, and because the light reflecting off the red plastic mulch, it's supposed to improve flavour and the actual yield of the tomatoes, and it's something that I've been dying to give a little test.
That's not even a nutrient, that's just like a top tip on how to do it.
Yeah, so for strawberries and tomatoes, or any red coloured fruit, adding some red plastic down can affect the distribution of light and improve flavour.
Well, one thing that we found, that when we increased the size of our strawberries hydroponically, that they were really big, but then we lost the flavour because we pumped them full of water. That was something that I was aware of, so then it led me back to the thinking maybe we should have just kept the strawberry a bit smaller. Yeah. Because with the size, we lost the flavour, which is really the importance. The size is maybe good for a competition or whatever, but at the end of the day, the fruit is designed for you to eat. Yeah, it's all about the flavour, baby. Yeah.
We're flavour chasers.
Yeah, but we did have double the size of a strawberry, so it fed 2 portions rather than 1. So
we're curing world hunger.
Yeah, yeah, with strawberries.
on a strawberry scale. But he also asked, what are the best nutrients? There isn't a best nutrient for flavour. It really is down to your environment and your method of growing. Just use a good nutrient. Anything that you can buy in the hydro shops or a specific strawberry feed will do the job.
In all fairness, we haven't tested them with all of our stuff, so I can't really make a comment on what our stuff would actually do, because when I done them, we just pumped them with water. We just used water. Yeah. And it just increased the size massively. Yeah.
Look for a nutrient though that increases bricks, which is the sugar content of fruit, and that obviously is going to give you a better taste, and that is something that is long-standing research that I'll be looking into in the next few years, is how to increase the sugar content of fruits and vegetables.
But check out that book.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's the answer.
James Wong, Grow for Flavour, brilliant book. Number 15, is there a limit to the amount of different nutrients you can put in a feed at any one time?
Depends.
Yeah.
Are they organic or synthetic?
So back to that again, aren't we?
Yeah.
Synthetically.
And that's leading on to our next podcast again, isn't it?
So to give you an answer, because we're not going to leave you in limbo, very shorthand answer is, if you're using synthetically, the more you add, the more problems you're probably going to run into. Yeah. If you add your A and your B and your silica and your bit of extra nitrogen and veg,
you start making a chemical imbalance within the plant's metabolism.
Yeah, these companies work very hard to give you everything that you need, so don't stray too far from what they're telling you to do.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, KISS.
Yes.
I like it. Organically, they're broken down by bacteria. The plant takes up what it wants, so you can probably get away with a little bit more if you're growing organically. But I'm going to leave it there, because our next podcast, I'm looking forward to doing that one. Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
I'm going to kick your ass.
Number 16. Actually, you can read this one out, so I'm getting sick of the sound of my own voice. Yeah.
I know, I'm bored to death of it. When growing in live soil, is it still best to flush at the end of flower, since it's live and doesn't have the salts that synthetic has? I'll let you answer this one as well, though.
Okay. It's not as important to flush as when you were using synthetics, because when you've got organic fertilizer and you've got an organic living ecosystem, the plant is breaking down what it wants and takes it up when it wants. So if you're growing organically, it's not as important to flush.
Well, I'm going to just jump right in, and I'm going to say it doesn't matter what you're growing or when you're growing. When you come to the end of your cycle, flush it.
Yeah.
And that's my personal opinion, and I believe that's right.
Yeah, I'd still flush.
Yeah.
I think a synthetic fertilised grown plant needs a longer flush, though.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Cool. So hopefully that has answered your question. Yes, you still need to flush, but not as long as you would do with synthetic fertilisers. This is because this is something that is out of my realm of knowledge.
Okay, 17. When breeding, that means reproducing, jumping on the old back, hoo-ha! What is the most important trait for picking a male? Well,
a beard.
I was going to say something else then, but I'm not even going to say that. I'm not even going to take it to that level.
We're talking about plants now.
So, when you're picking a male for reproducing. Like when a farmer goes to pick a horse or a bull.
Yeah.
Does he go and pick the little scraggy one in the corner with the wonky leg and no ear and the shabby skin?
I probably would. I'd feel sorry for
I know.
it.
Everyone go, oh, let's do a Facebook campaign and save this wonky-legged bull. Yeah, everyone will think we're getting one next week. No, you don't. You go and pick that big, strong, masculine, well-groomed or whatever. The pick of the litter, don't you? That's what you're going for. You're going for the pick of the litter. And you're also looking for the good key traits within this. So you're going to ask some key questions. And my key questions would be, how does he respond to bad circumstances, i.e. heat stress, environment stress, water stress? How does it grow? How does it flower? How is that whole cycle? And what does the plant look like? Is it hardy and strong, or do you become very attentive? I.e. constantly changing conditions and maybe adjusting nutrient levels because 1 minute it's looking not so good. I want to find a plant, me personally, that's really strong, that has a bit of a backbone to it, that stays quite lush and green and produces good flowers, a dense amount of flowers with sacs. Obviously, because when you're reproducing, you want a
virile plant?
Yes, to pack a punch, basically.
Yeah.
You know, he needs to go and sow his oats.
Yeah.
So you don't want a little weak one that isn't going to do the job properly.
Pops out as 2 seeds.
Exactly.
You
want a hardy fella, and basically that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a nice, strong, healthy plant that's going to do you good and is not susceptible to pest and disease. Because you'll find some plants can be very weak. And that's a key thing. You'll notice I keep mentioning that. It's a key thing to find. And once you find that plant and you've got it, you look after it then, because a lot of plants are weak and do get attacked by pest and disease very easily. They just give up the ghost, basically. That's what you're looking for. And that's what my personal tips would be for if you was going to pick a male, find out a bit about its life. You know, when you go and buy a dog and you get papers, you want to know where it's come from, where it's been, what it's done, how long it's, what generation is it, you know. You want to see some bits and bobs about it. You want to see its CV.
Yeah.
So when you're breeding and you're picking a male, ask to look at its CV.
Plant with good seed.
Yeah.
To summarise.
Yes.
Okay. Last 3 now.
And
Stick
nice
with
big
us.
set of balls on it.
Yeah. Number 18.
What I must add, though, is for anybody else who's not breeding, you don't want a male plant.
Yeah.
End of. Question 18.
What outside plants are good to use for nutrients if you're in a pinch, or if you just want to use nature? 2 things. Nettles and comfrey. Nettles, you've heard me do this before, excellent sources of nitrogen and silicon.
Whoa. What is a pinch?
If you're in a pinch,
yes.
If you're in a bit of a tight squeeze,
okay,
lacking funds.
Well, that's what I thought.
Nettles. Very quickly, collect a kilo of nettle leaves, the ones that give you the horrible blisters when you touch them. Submerge them in 10 litres of water. Leave them for 2 weeks. Keep them covered, cool and dark. After the 2 weeks, you'll start to notice foaming and bubbling, which means that it started to react and ferment. Strain off the bits of twigs and the bits of clumpy leaf matter that's left, and what you're left there with is a concentrate of serious organic nettle brew. You want to take about 100 to 200 ml of that nettle brew and dilute it down with 800 to 900 ml of water. Spray that on your plants when the lights are off, and you can actually even just top dress it, feed it with it, and the results are phenomenal with that. You can also do exactly the same with comfrey, but comfrey has a slightly different selection of nutrients that will assist your plant.
Well, here's something for you. I was watching a programme. It was one of those programmes where people go and live in the wild, just move away.
You've mentioned this before.
It played a part in my mind because we sell a product called fish, blood and bone.
Yeah.
And it's like a meal that you put in the compost and whatever.
Yeah.
And I was watching this thing, and they were killing animals to survive and stuff like that, and they was using they were fishing and stuff like that. So when they would they would cut off the meat off the animal and use the fur and whatever. They wouldn't waste anything. They'd have all the blood and bone. What he was doing, he was placing it under the ground within the patch that they were using, and it was fertilising the ground. And what they had done over a period of a couple of years is managed to nurture into the ground all of the remains of maybe the fish and the deer and elk and stuff that they killed, and they put that into the ground. And I always remember it because on our shelf we sell fish, blood and bone, and what she was putting into the ground was fish, blood and bone. So it always makes me think, you know, if I was in my house and I had an old fish, could I not just ground that up and put it into a bit of water and maybe water that over my crop? You know, the remains. But then I don't know if that'd work or not. One thing I do know is the patch that the woman was doing, because it was all of that stuff that she was putting into it, it absolutely stunk.
I can imagine.
But her produce was phenomenal. And then it led me on to something else. I seen another programme with it was a dumping site in the UK. So where all of our waste goes, everything, and I mean everything. It's a very toxic place you wouldn't want to be on there. It really smells bad, and you could probably get a disease from there. However, on the top of it, because a load of tomatoes had been dumped, and there was loads of soil and stuff like that, this vast amount of tomatoes had grown from it.
Shut up.
I wouldn't have liked to tasted them. No. They looked unbelievable, and it just shows how Mother Nature is as well, and how things can thrive in certain areas. And obviously, it was feeding off all of the waste and the stuff that was in the ground there. Obviously, a lot of it was contaminated as well, so I wouldn't have liked to taste the tomatoes. But it just shows you that how plants can extract certain elements what they need.
Yeah, well, they actually plants that are very good at extracting heavy metals and toxic substances from landfill areas. So if they want to use the soil again for crops or whatever, they'll actually plant a series of plants that are very good at pulling up those pollutants and heavy metals and toxins. Clever, isn't it? Yeah, really clever. Nature seems to do a good job. Apparently our allotment was an old landfill. Interesting. And we still grow great stuff on there, don't we?
Yeah. Well, I do. I've got some grapes. Don't know what yous are growing on there. Not much, like.
I've got strawberries on there.
I'm sure they're mine.
They're definitely not. I'll show you they're in the bed. They're mine.
Oh, no. Just because you put them out of my pot into your bed doesn't mean they're your strawberries.
Oh well. So, yeah, the outside plants, nettle and comfrey, are brilliant if you're in a pinch. Number 19, how do you stop caterpillars and other insects from attacking
Hold on, let me go back to 18. You know, if you are in a pinch and you're a little bit skint and times are hard, you know, drop us an email and I will send you something out.
That's very nice of you.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's to somebody who is in a pinch. If times are hard and I don't know, things aren't going your well lately and everything's a bit crap, yeah, give me an email, direct it to me, and we'll have a little chat and we'll sort something out and I will hook you up with some free stuff.
Oh, that's very nice of you, Thomas. Good stuff. Well, good. Take him up on that offer.
I hope you do.
Yeah. Number 19. And this is from, I have to say this one. This one is from a guy in Colorado, I think. Or it might, if it's either in Colorado or somewhere in America, where medicinally cannabis is legal.
This is a belter. No, I'm saying this question. I've just looked at this question.
Go on then, I'll let you answer.
So this is the guys, my pals. There's loads of my pals out in Colorado as well, and in Humboldt, so I know what they're talking about here. They grow cannabis legally.
Yeah.
And they have sent us this question. I know why they sent it to us because obviously cannabis is illegal in the UK. However, we can still discuss it. And I can give them a tip as well if I like to. And their question is, how do you stop caterpillars and other insects from attacking your outside cannabis plants? What's a good preventative maintenance? Well, outside. It's really difficult anyway, isn't it? You've got an arduous task anyway. You're going to be using some pesticides, as always. I would use some natural predators. I would definitely invite some of them onto there. Obviously, you can't maintain them as much because they're outside.
ladybirds.
Yeah.
Get them involved.
Get a few of them, get an army of everything in. You can also try and net them with a fine net, small,
like a microporous.
Yeah, really small one. Because to be honest, caterpillars are quite big.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of nano.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean nano in microscopic sizes. So caterpillars in that area are quite big in pests. So you could keep them out with nets and stuff like that.
You could. And moths and butterflies. Do you want to keep butterflies off your crops?
It's caterpillars.
No, but caterpillars
Make butterflies.
Yeah. So caterpillars eat loads of shit.
Butterflies land on the thing.
Yeah.
Leave eggs and that becomes a caterpillar.
And
then you come back and all your plants are chewed to pieces. So you want to keep the butterflies away.
Yeah. Well, I know this is to do with...
So you need to get a butterfly net and catch all the butterflies. I might start stocking them. Yes, so there's the organic brew that Steve mentioned earlier on. That works very well on the caterpillars.
Yeah.
It's a contact killer. As soon as it hits them, it kills them.
They're not enjoying life.
And it's organic. You can make it up as Steve give you the
brewing method.
The brewing method. The recipe.
I wonder what it tastes like.
I won't be eating it.
Don't like cinnamon anyway.
I won't be drinking it. And what's a good preventative maintenance?
Well, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Silicon. Because it's just great for everything.
Yeah, basically you want to put a good shield over your plants. An organic shield, systemically, that you're going to water through the plant. It's going to be absorbed into the plant's system. And it's going to put a layer. As Steve always tells me this, I always remember this when he explained it to me. It puts a thick coating over the plant. Now, the coating's that thick, the little mites' teeth can't get through. So they very quickly starve and die and fall off.
Yeah.
And you can see them falling off.
Imagine your granny and a toffee.
Yeah.
That's my
granny and a toffee. So the key to it is silicon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Strengthen your plants up, make it hardy. Be attentive, boys. I know yous are out there. I know some of your plants, I'd say, are trees. So, unfortunately, yous are a bit knackered.
It's a battle.
It's a battle.
It's a constant battle.
You haven't just got that battle. You've got battle with humidity, because obviously your humidity's good in the first stages, but you can't remove it because you're in the outside environment. So you've got botrytis and blah 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 blah. However, your grows are phenomenal, and I enjoy watching what you guys do. So keep it up.
Thank you for your question.
Yeah, we love the question, guys. Thank you.
Number 20 from my man, Eric Coulombe. On the day of recording, it is his birthday today. So a big happy
birthday to you.
Join in, Rick.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Eric. You're not singing happy birthday to Rick.
Okay.
Eric.
Okay, Eric. Well, I called you Richard for a minute.
Eric. I nearly called him Richard from Eric Coulombe. Oh, he's a fucked off.
Oh, yeah, it's great. We'll keep it in. Happy 60th birthday.
Yeah, you're looking really good for your age.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. It must be all that Canadian mountain water.
Yeah, all that Canadian shit, man.
Maple syrup.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
And have a good day.
Yeah. We haven't got you a card.
We've got you a dedicated podcast.
Yeah, we dedicate this podcast to our friend Eric Richards.
Eric Coulombe.
Eric Coulombe from Garden
Canada.
Culture.
If you don't read the magazine because it's awesome.
Yeah.
And here's his question. What benefits do organic teas have for someone using synthetic nutrients? Well, organic teas provide a slow-release source of fertilizer and a food source for microorganisms that are beneficial for the plant's rhizosphere. So, also what I've seen personally with compost teas is that the difference is just a healthier plant with improved taste and aroma. I think the question was sort of half, can you use compost teas when using synthetic nutrients? Yes, you can. We answered that question at the beginning of the podcast, and it's only going to provide goodness. And I'm going to give a shout out now to, again, our man, Gareth Hopcroft at EcoThrive, who brought the brilliant product, Charge Out. He is bringing out his instant compost tea. So for those of you that
Hold on, let me cause a bit of murder here. Hasn't someone skanked it?
Potentially.
I'll just blow the lid on anyone, on the skankers. Skank alert! Skank alert! Skank alert! Don't worry, Gareth, we support you and everything you done. You do, sorry.
He's been working on this for a good few years, and he sent out samples. So we're just on the lookout for anybody that might be coming out with an instant compost tea.
Yes.
Because we'll be judging it against Gareth's. And I know, without even testing it, that Gareth only brings out products that are phenomenal. Easy to use and cost effective.
Yep.
So you have a big battle on your hands going up against Eco Thrive.
Yeah, we won't mention who you are just yet, but we know what you're up to.
We do, you sneaky little shits.
Yes.
He's bringing out an instant compost tea. He's actually rang me the other day and is looking forward to coming and doing a podcast with us. He's got a new product coming out, which he will be talking about, but he's also just one of the most...
He's a very knowledgeable
people in the industry, so it's always a pleasure to have him on the podcast.
I wouldn't mind learning a bit more about some soils and stuff like that myself.
Maybe we can
dedicate that to soils.
Yeah, we'll talk about the soils podcast with Gareth from Eco Thrive. That will
like
be coming up in the next few months.
Definitely.
And we have concluded the hydroponics question time.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that.
Thank you to everyone who sent all the questions in.
Yeah.
Really pleased with the questions.
Thank you very much for taking the time to do it. We have to pick a winner.
Okay. Right. Right.
It's not a randomness either. We are actually picking a winner.
We're deciding whose question is the best.
But I've forgotten that there's no names. There's no names by the sides of these questions. I pulled them all out from every social media that we had and every email, disregarded all of the names, and put all the questions into text.
So all we know is just the questions. All I know in front of me here is
so we can't actually announce the winner on the podcast, but
we can announce the question.
We can announce the question. You'll know, and we'll get in touch with you.
Yeah, but we'll just send you the big goodie box with all the bits. I'm going to throw some extra bits and bobs, so it's not just going to be BMO stuff in there. I'm going to throw some other bits and pieces in, stuff that we might. I'll throw in some charge because I really like it. So I'll throw in some bits and bobs. Okay. What question, Stephen?
Let me get where's my list?
Well, my favourite was.
Should we have top three, and then we'll do from there.
Yeah,
top three. I'll pick one, and then you can pick one, and then we'll both pick one.
Yeah, okay.
The first two questions.
I knew you was going to pick them.
I know, because they made me do research. I love learning.
Well,
I learned a little bit myself.
Like number 4. I just love number 4 because he sounds as nuts. He or she sounds as daft as me. I hate slugs. What's the best way to keep the slippery buggers from eating everything in my garden?
Okay, my one is, can synthetic fertilizer kill off your living soil? Because it made me think. I didn't know the question properly off the top of my head. So I had to do research, and I like it when I do research. I learned a little bit. So my one is number 2, can synthetic fertilizer kill off your living soil? Thomas's was question number 4, I hate slugs. What's the best way to keep the slippery little buggers from eating everything in the garden? And number 3, which one do you reckon?
You know what? These are some good questions, you know. They really are good questions. See, I like seed or clone as well.
Yeah.
I also like where is the best place to check your pH. I'll let you pick it, Steve.
Ooh, I don't know. It's hard picking. We've both picked one, haven't we?
Yeah.
Number 3 goes out to everybody else because they're all equally phenomenal questions. So it's between number 2 and number 4. Both very good questions. Both made me do research. I would go for, and I know you'll agree with me because you picked it, number 4. Because it made us laugh.
4. Yeah, it made us laugh. And not only that, it's a bit of a tough question, even though we made us laugh as well, because the ants are really difficult to sort out, and I'm going to get some more top tips for that as well. Slugs are a pain in the backside. I've been terrorised by them on the allotment many a time. They ate all the cabbages, and they really have destroyed a lot of the stuff on our allotment. So it's sort of, that's why it made me laugh, because I can relate to it, and I enjoy that type of humour. So I would like to have number 4 win.
Okay. Number 4,
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. I hate slugs. What's the best way to keep these slippery little buggers from eating everything in my garden? You are today's winner.
And you know what we're going to do as well? We're going to send you some salt
Yeah,
for your chips.
For your chips.
So you won't be out without salt. And when we get back later, we'll find out who won.
Yeah.
And we'll also include some tips in the email for you when we find out how best to control ants organically.
Yeah.
You have been listening to Hydroponic Question Times with myself, Stephen.
And myself, Thomas.
Thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back next week with Death or Debt. Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.